Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this online hearing of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Ottawa under the Planning Act. This video conference is also live streaming on YouTube. With me are my panel members, Jocelyn Chandler and Stephen Lewis. My name is Martin Vervoort, and I will be chairing this hearing today. The procedure for this hearing will be as follows. Listed on the agenda and appearing on the screen are the applications we will hear today. For the sake of efficiency, the committee may deal with agenda items in a different order. Committee members have reviewed the planning reports and any written submissions in support or in opposition to each of the applications. Today, we will hear oral submissions from any interested parties. As part of the statutory public notification requirements, each applicant was required to post a sign on the property and file a statutory declaration confirming the sign posting. This declaration must be on file today before we can hear the application. Without it, I may have to adjourn the application or administer an oath if necessary. Can the coordinator confirm that we have received all of the statutory declarations?
Mr. Chair, we have not, so we'll need the oath read for all items.
Okay, I will administer the oath as necessary when we get to an item. The committee may ask for a brief presentation of the application, followed by questions from members and submissions from the public. Please address your comments to the chair, starting with your name and spelling it if necessary, and your municipal address for the record. The committee limits presentations to 5 minutes. Any exceptions will be at the discretion of the chair. All right, then we'll proceed with the agenda. I don't believe we have any minutes to approve from previous meetings, but I will ask the members if any of the members have any interest to declare in any of the applications. Are there any declarations of interest?
I have none.
So no, there are no declarations of interest. Before we proceed with the hearing of the applications that are ready to proceed, there are a number of adjournment requests today, so we'll deal with those in the order on the agenda. The first item where there is an adjournment request is item number 1, which is concerning the property at 3854 Armitage Avenue in West Carleton, March. I believe the agent on file is Tracy Zander.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, committee members.
Good morning, Ms. Zander. I understand that the planning department is requesting an adjournment for an EIS and a tree planting plan. Are you aware of that request?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I've seen the request. We'd like to proceed to the discussion with the committee today, if the committee's willing.
Okay, maybe we'll hear from Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, we've requested an adjournment in order for the applicant to provide an EIS as requested by our environmental planning staff. However, if the applicant wishes to proceed, that's up to the committee. Okay,
and presumably then if we do proceed, if the application were to be granted, those could be conditions that were added to the, they could be requested conditions?
We could request conditions. It's a minor variance application, so that's typically rarer, but we could add those as conditions, yes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Zander, would you have any objection to that? Normally we don't condition minor variances, so that's the issue, I guess.
So wouldn't mind discussing those. I don't know if you want to do that now or when the discussion comes. I mean, they certainly could be conditions. This is a redevelopment of an existing lot. The Conservation Authority hasn't expressed any concerns and in fact has already granted permits for the construction of the dwelling and the septic system on this lot. So I guess I don't see much value in an environmental impact study on this lot at this stage. It's redevelopment of an existing lot. I don't know what an EIS would contribute to the discussion. The tree planting plan, I think that would be a pretty simple condition if the committee sees that as necessary to perhaps do some enhancement on the shoreline. But I'm not sure what an EIS would contribute at this stage on this lot, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we'll proceed to hear the application and we'll get back to it once we deal with the remaining adjournment requests. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
The second item where there's an adjournment request is agenda item number 2, Douglas and James Garland concerning the property at 7604 Franktown Road. And I believe the agent on that file is Michael Segreto.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, committee members.
Good morning, Mr. Segreto. Are you aware of the adjournment request by the planning department?
Yes, I am, and I believe that we've agreed that we shall sine die this file.
Okay. Can I hear from planning briefly on that? I'm assuming that's agreeable. I believe it's Mr. Harrigan.
My apologies, Mr. Harrigan is not with us this morning. I will be in his stead, so yes, we are agreeable to the request.
Okay. Do members of the committee have any concerns with adjourning this matter sine die? Okay. Alrighty, then we'll note that the application is adjourned sine die. Thank you, Mr. Segreto.
Thank you so much.
The next item with an adjournment request is agenda item number 4 concerning the estate of Sterling Miller Bar and the property at 3901 John Shaw Road. And I believe the agent on this matter is Daniel Mayo. Is Mr. Mayo here?
Yes, he is, Mr. Chair. We're just bringing him in now.
Good morning, Mr. Mayo. I believe you're muted.
Hello,
Good morning, Mr. Mayo.
good morning.
I believe you're the agent on file for the applicant in this matter.
Yes, I am.
And my understanding is that there was a problem with the sign. The sign was posted but disappeared and has to be reposted. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And the sign has been reposted.
Yes, it was reposted yesterday.
Okay, so it'll be fine then to proceed on the hearing of March 15th, I understand.
Yes, that was arranged with the with Maxine.
Okay. Alrighty, members of the committee, are we good then to adjourn the matter to the March 15th hearing? Okay, so we'll note then that this matter is adjourned to the hearing of March 15th. Thank you, Mr. Mayo.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
I'm going to leave the meeting.
Thank you. And the last adjournment request relates to item number 5, which is an application by Serge and France Robert concerning the property at 2640 Birchgrove. I believe the agent on file there is Serge Robert. Is Mr. Robert here? Madam Coordinator, are we able to connect with Mr. Robert?
Yes, we're just bringing him in now.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning, Mr. Robert. With respect to your application today, I'm not sure if you're aware, the planning department has requested an adjournment until such time as the corrections can be made to the official plan. I don't know what your position is with respect to that.
I was under the understanding that all the corrections were made prior to the meeting, today's meeting. Is that different?
Well, maybe we'll let Mr. Teef speak to that issue.
Morning, Mr. Chair. So to just to clarify that one, our issue is with the wording in the official plan, as we've had with a whole bunch of other severance applications. Yeah, so that's the main concern we're having with the rural severance policies in the official plan.
Okay, because I think in the past we have proceeded with some of these, and we'll just have to wait, I guess, until that amendment is made. But it seems to me that the application would meet the intent of the plan anyway. I don't know what the department's position is with respect to that.
We're currently just requesting adjournment on all applications with that deal with the rural severance policies. So.
Okay, maybe I'll ask the members their thoughts on this. Ms. Chandler?
I'm very comfortable with going forwards based on the intent of the official plan and the understanding about the policy error. I think the committee has the authority to do that.
Mr. Lewis?
Yeah, I agree. Let's proceed and get on with this one.
Okay. All right. So then we will hear the application. We'll just stand it down and we'll deal with the other applications that are ready to go, Mr. Robert, and then we'll be back to you. Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you. So now we'll deal with the applications that are ready to proceed. We'll go back to application number 1, which is an application by Linda Martin concerning the property at 3854 Armitage. And we'll have to administer an oath regarding the sign posting. Ms. Zander, I know you don't normally take the oath. Is your client available to take the oath?
Correct. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think Ms. Martin is on the call. I can see her name there on the screen, so she should be able to take the oath.
Yes, I am here.
Good morning, Ms. Martin. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing as instructed and was clearly visible and legible during that time?
I do.
Okay, thank you very much. So Ms. Zander, if you want to proceed, I think we have a pretty good understanding of the application, so you can keep it pretty brief. I guess the questions really are, I think the committee is aware of the lot constraints here. There really is no other place to put the septic system. The engineering department of the city, I think, is satisfied. Conservation authority is satisfied. And I guess the issue is the request for an EIS and a tree planting plan. So maybe if you want to address those 2 issues.
Sure. Thank you. Yes, as you said, Mr. Chair, the lot is very constrained. So I think the redevelopment has done the best it can on this site to maximize the setback. The septic tanks themselves will be on the 30-meter setback, and so is the dwelling. So we're really just talking about the septic bed. There was no discussion with staff about an EIS until we got this report a couple of days ago. The staff report does reference section 493 subsection 7 of the official plan, which does talk about redevelopment on constrained lots like this. And even that section doesn't reference an EIS, but it does talk about kind of maintaining and enhancing the ecological conditions on the site. And so I would suggest that a planting plan would make sense here and would achieve the intent of that policy. Again, as I mentioned in the earlier part of the meeting, I'm not sure what an environmental impact study would gain on this property. The site has previously been developed, and so it's being redeveloped. I don't know what that would bring to the discussion, but I think a planting plan to kind of do some enhancement along the shoreline would be a reasonable condition for the committee to impose. So happy to answer other questions, as could Ms. Martin on the site. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Chair. So yes, we've requested an EIS, and it would be a scoped EIS, and the details of that could be discussed with our environmental planning staff to understand exactly what we're requesting. So the reason we're asking for it is because, as Ms. Sander mentioned, the policies seeking no negative impacts or minimizing negative impacts, and the way that we can ensure that happens is with an EIS. And so the redevelopment of the site is drastically increasing the amount of lot coverage on the site from what it currently is. Many trees will be removed. So we're requesting the EIS to understand the current nature of the property and the planting plan to ensure that the environmental context is improved as best as possible.
Maybe I'll go to the panel members and Mr. Lewis. Questions, comments?
Yeah, I don't. Can you hear me? I don't think an EIS is required. As for a tree planting plan, I think it's probably a good idea. I think people probably will plant trees just because they're nice to have around. I would rather see the tree planting plan as a recommendation instead of a condition, instead of, having to have people go out and check it, spend money and one thing and another. Tree planting plan, I'd like to see as a recommendation, not a condition. Thank you.
Ms. Chandler, questions, comments?
I would like to ask planning staff, if a tree planting plan was done, would they then have to enter into a development agreement on the site? Like, how would that be implemented?
Through you, Chair, we would request that the planting plan be submitted before the end of the appeal period. And it would not be a development agreement, it would just be to the satisfaction of the department. So they would submit it to the department and we would approve it through the committee staff.
Okay, that doesn't quite answer my question. How would it be implemented?
The condition itself or the
tree planting plan, how would the city administer that? It's, if they go to the effort of doing the tree planting plan, it's approved by the city, the minor variance goes through. How is the city going to implement the tree planting plan?
The plan would be reviewed by environmental planning staff. We would not do necessarily any on-site checks of the plan, but it would be submitted to us on the site plan, and we would approve that site plan, and then the condition would be cleared.
Okay, I don't have a lot of voice here, Barton. Can you? I think you know what I'm asking.
Yeah, I guess the question is, like, how is it enforced? Maybe we'll speak to the Conservation Authority if they have any comments on this specific thing, or if they would look at that when they review the septic installation, or review the, review to ensure their permits complied with. Ms. Moy?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, we do confirm that the property is partially regulated as it's located within the two-zone floodplain. We do note that there is going to be a net gain as the new proposed dwelling will be moving closer towards the road and farther away from the flood hazard. It is only the septic bed that is going to be partially located within the flood fringe. We'll happily review a planting plan, although not a requirement from us. The Conservation Authority has already issued the permit with the floodproofing standards that we have.
I'm just wondering, Ms. Ander, if maybe the way to proceed here is if you would provide an undertaking to provide a tree planting plan before the expiration of the appeal period. Would that work for you?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I was a bit puzzled by Mr. Graham's suggestion that the tree plan has to be provided before the appeal period expires, which is a pretty short window of time to provide that. And I guess wondering why could it not just be a condition that tree plan be provided if that's something the city wants? Why does that have to happen within 20 days?
Well, maybe we'll ask Mr. Graham that.
Typically, since we don't require a condition, or since we don't condition minor variances, we need some sort of timeline for this trigger. So the appeal period is an opportunity for us to approve or revoke that condition for a minor variance application.
So, Mr. Chair, if I don't have that submitted to the city in 20 days,
I'm not sure what the city.
What happens?
I mean, I think what I'm hearing from my other panel members is that this is a good idea. I don't think the committee believes that an EIS is required under the circumstances of this particular application. But I think the way to proceed, if the other panel members agree, is we'll just have an undertaking from the applicant to submit a tree planting plan to the city and to the Conservation Authority prior to the commencement of construction.
So if I may, Mr. Chair, just so clear, you want the undertaking within the 20 days, but we would have a little bit more time to actually provide the tree planting plan to staff satisfaction.
You'd have to provide that before construction commences. So that would be the line. Does that work for the other committee members? Mr. Lewis?
I'll go along with the majority, but I just think it's just causing a lot more headache than what it's going to provide. I'd rather just see it as a recommendation, but I'm okay with if you guys want to do that.
Ms. Chandler, what's your thought?
Well, okay, so the tree planting plan is prepared. Then what is it going to be? A condition of the building permit? Are they going to have to enter into a development agreement? Like how is it enforced? That's the piece that I'm missing here. It's not a condition of the Conservation Authority's permit. No one has suggested it needs to be put into a development agreement. You can't hang a building permit on it. So it would just be, we've done a plan and everybody just hopes that the good nature of the applicant, they will do it. In which case, let's just assume that the, applicant will do it. I don't quite understand what the implementation component of this is. I agree, shoreline vegetation is important. And if you're going to get close to it, the sewage system, it should be done. But I'm missing the mechanism entirely.
Yeah, well, there doesn't appear to be one. So I guess the question is, do we want to impose it or not? And rely on the goodwill of the applicant, or just not impose it?
If there's no mechanism, then I think Member Lewis is correct in that it's a good recommendation. They're aware of it. They should do it. But otherwise it's just paper exercise.
Okay, so then in that case, I would ask for approval of the application without the condition of a tree planting plan or an EIS. However, we'll note in the minutes that it's recommended that the applicant submit a tree planting plan. So if the members are in favor of that, I would ask for approval of the application.
Could I revise that it be recommended that the applicant prepare a shoreline planting plan and implement it, but I don't see how submitting it is helpful.
Okay. So it would be recommended that the applicant prepare and implement the
shoreline planting plan.
Yeah. All those in favor? So the application is approved. Thank you, Ms. Sander.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
The next application is agenda item number 3 concerning the property at 6682 Fernbank Road. And I believe Mr. Price is the agent for the applicant. Good morning, Mr. Price.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee.
Mr. Price, are you able to take the oath regarding the sign posting on the property?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I am.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing as instructed and was clearly visible and legible during that time?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I can swear.
All right, then. We want to proceed with your application. The committee has reviewed the application, Mr. Price, and I guess the issue is, or the issue that the planning department has, is with respect to the irregular shape of the proposed lot. And maybe you just want to address that issue first.
Well, most certainly. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The purpose of the application as submitted is the landowner has an agreement of purchase and sale in place with a local neighbor who wants to build on the lot. As such, they would like to retain as much of the retained land as possible. So the application that was submitted and the R plan submitted takes into account the findings of the EIS, which was submitted, that can locate a development envelope, and a hydro-G and terrain analysis that indicates that there's more than adequate land. So in order to meet the 2 acre minimum, the owners would prefer to certainly have the lot distributed as proposed. There are no technical reasons for staff to request for it to be squared off. I get, efficiency and whatnot, but we're talking the rural area where no future severances or development will occur in anybody on this screen's lifetime. So, in terms of the lot configuration, we can meet all the zoning and OP requirements, but also technically the construction of a new home, which would include, well and septic services. So, yes, although it is irregular, it is functional, and it has a less impact on the retained portion.
Okay. And with respect to the conditions that were requested by the planning department, do you have comments on any of the proposed conditions?
Not particularly. As always, I'll throw it on the record. It's useless, but with respect to the road widening request on the retained portion, I know legal has their opinion, but I'm going to be consistent for as long as I do this, that we vehemently oppose to that, and not to the point where anybody would appeal it to the OMB. One day I'll find a client that will, and we'll challenge it, but for the time being, that's my rant. Thanks.
Okay. And then I guess with respect to condition number 10, revised sketch or survey, you would not.
We would prefer that condition be removed.
Yeah.
Should committee agree?
Understood. Maybe we'll hear now from Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, our major concern is, or our only concern really with the application is the shape of the lot. In terms of justification, we don't really agree that the applicant's comments justify the irregular lot size. The EIS doesn't require that the shape of the lot be like this. For future planning purposes, we would prefer that the lot be a regular shape, or a more regular shape. However, that's the only concern with the application is the lot shape.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lewis, comments, questions?
Yeah, back to I'm surprised the road widening's not already off of Fernbank Road. Is it? Maybe I'm wrong, but anyway, I understand that road widening problem. As for the shape of the lot, it's not a big thing for me. I'm fine with the lot the way it is. Persons, if they want to do it that way, I think that's their God-given right. Thank you.
Ms. Chandler?
I understand planning's position on preferring a regular lot. I think it makes it easier for rural landowners to know whose land they're on if there's ever an issue. But I'm not going to vote against this application on that basis.
Okay, thank you. Based on the comments from the members of the committee, then I would ask for approval of the application, subject to conditions 1 through 9, with condition number 10 removed. All those in favor? So the application is approved, Mr. Price. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Ms. Chandler, I hope you feel better. Sorry for making you speak even more. Have a good day.
It's a good thing we have a short agenda today. And the last application is application number 5, which is an application by Serge and France Robert concerning the property at 2640 Birchgrove. Now, Mr. Robert.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Good morning again.
Good morning.
Just before we start, I'll need to administer an oath regarding the sign posting on the property. Are you able to take that oath?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing as instructed and was clearly visible and legible during that time?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. And then just before we start, I think we just have a couple of housekeeping matters regarding some amendments to the original application.
Okay.
So the frontage for application B00034, the frontage is 61 meters and the depth is 141.9 meters irregular, having a lot area of 0.8 hectares. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And then for application B00035, the frontage would be 82 meters and a depth of 115.7 meters irregular, having a lot area of 0.80 hectares. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. And I think we're familiar with the purpose of the application. Do you have anything specific you want to add to your application?
No, I think I've provided all the documents, unless you have any questions on it. I think it's quite simple and clear.
Okay. Any comments from the planning department, Mr. Teef?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. So this application originally had the lots going into the floodplain. So we just requested that the lot boundaries be changed, which the applicant provided. And we had originally requested an EIS due to the lot boundaries being within the floodplain, but we waived that with the boundaries having been changed. So we no longer require an EIS.
Okay. So the only outstanding issues really are the only outstanding issue really is the technical amendment to the official plan that's in process, presumably.
That's correct.
Okay. And Mr. Robert, sorry, I just forgot to ask you, there are 8 proposed conditions. Do you have any comments on any of the proposed conditions?
No.
So you're satisfied with those? Okay. Ms. Chandler, any comments, questions? Mr. Lewis? I think Mr. Lewis's video is frozen for a minute. We'll just see if he can respond. I'm not sure if you can hear us, Mr. Lewis. We'll just wait to see if Mr. Lewis can reconnect. There we go. I think you're still on mute, Mr. Lewis. There
Sorry
we go.
about that. Neighbor pulled in with a big diesel truck. My computer didn't seem to like it. Okay.
So in case you've missed anything, Mr. Lewis, the applicant has agreed to the 8 proposed conditions. And Ms. Chandler did not have any questions or comments regarding the application. Do you have any questions or comments regarding the application?
No, I'm fine with it. And if we can, make things happen get that official plan problem straightened out. I know time instead of adjourning, time means a lot, especially building permits, one thing and another. Let's get the show on the road for the applicant, please.
Okay.
That's it.
I agree. I think even though the official plan revisions are still in process, at least if we move ahead with the application, then the applicant can start working on the other conditions. So that I think, desirable. So I would ask for approval of the application subject to the 8 proposed conditions. All those in favor? So the application is approved, Mr. Robert. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. Have a good day.
So I believe that concludes all of our business for today. Thank you everyone for participating, and we'll see everyone on March 15th. Thank you.